yeah, before even I even realized what was going on is the loss of life. All right,
Yeah.
and I actually shed tears, you know, at the idea that you had so many people, just innocent,
Right.
non-combatant people, going to work that day that lost their lives, and children and families, and different people. That was going to be their last day. So that right there is the thing that gripped me the most. Is in that situation, is the sadness of all of these people that have just lost their lives over what may have seemed like an accident, but now it's now obviously it's a point of aggression. So yeah.
Absolutely.
That
Government think this
Joe,
on
that
people.
putting that definition up of a terrorist, I find it quite interesting whenever I'm in the company of the dominant European culture and we ever talking about certain things. And it's interesting how it's four of us who are all descendants of American slaves, or we talk about that. When you're in the company of the European and they talk about this, do you know that the very things, the Tulsa, the Black Wall Street, they do not associate that as the same? But if you read that terminology right there, it is. Do that make sense to y'all? Y'all follow
Oh
what I'm
yeah,
saying?
absolutely. I mean, it's
And this is what I be trying to get my European male friends when we be talking. When they talk about terrorists or this or that, look what they done to America. Look what they doing across there. And when I say to them, listen, we've been experiencing that on our territory as descendants of American slaves way before we were attacked by other people outside of America and everything. But they don't see it that way. And this is interesting that how the dynamics. This is why I was telling someone, don't call me a Christian, okay, by the same people who made slaves Christians, but you didn't free them enough to let them experience the same freedom. But you want to call me a Christian, okay? That's some BS, okay? There's something twisted about that. So I like that terminology is put up there because all of us can understand that we have been attacked on America, and we can say terroristic. It was terrorist because Black Wall Street, those people woke up in the morning trying to go to work. Okay, they was trying to live a life, trying to do what they were trying to do. They never thought that they on American soil that they would be bombed by people that supposedly were Americans like them. Does that make sense? But we don't see their
exactly.
humanity like that. We don't consider that they felt our demographics felt terroristically attacked by our own citizens in our own country.
Well, as times change and people change and people grow and ideas through education and learning, some of those attitudes and some people are gone. They're not gone from everybody, but you got to keep working at it so that that becomes the exception instead of the rule. And that's kind of what, as we move to that becoming the exception, not the rule, over the past 50 years, well, our last 12, is that it's no longer the exception, it's becoming the rule. I was sitting in my office on September 11th, 2001, watching TV, right? When I saw the second plane fly to the building. I was in the process of transferring out of the unit I was the S2, which is the intelligence officer, and I was going to teach at the military academy. My battalion commander called me on the phone and said, "Are you watching the news? We're going to Afghanistan probably in 60 days, and you will not be transferring to another unit." Right. And so, everybody remembers what they were doing on that day. But I thought that I'm outside of that. I'm gone. I'm transferring out. But the point is that things change and people do what they get ready when it suits them. And what America did that day was, the first thing I thought is, George Bush is no longer he is now the undisputed president of the United States of America. Two things happened on that day for me, or three things. One, I didn't transfer out of the military police to the academy. George Bush became the undisputed president of the United States, and we stopped using the term twin towers in basketball. Those are three things that happened that I recall distinctly. on September 1st, 2001, or September 11th, 2001.
Yeah, I mean they definitely they took Twin Towers and the World Trade Center. You know, when that happened, they took a lot of this stuff out of even music. They took that stuff out, and you know, it's interesting when you say that. But yeah, man, this I know personally. I was an engineer for Bell South at the time, and this was 2001. I remember it distinctively because I had just got married in October of 2001. And, you know, we went on honeymoon, came back, and it was, I guess, the end of October, something like that. Because it was probably about 2 weeks later that this thing happened. Or no, I take that back. About a month later that this thing happened. And, you know, I was an engineer. I was working in a warehouse for a business owner, working with them, testing phone lines and all this type of stuff. And it was a Middle Eastern guy. And, you know, no issues or concerns. You know, most of us melanated, we don't have those issues or concerns, right? We don't think about all of that because as far as we're pretty much concerned, they're just like us, you know, and in a way they get viewed just like us. Uh, Nonetheless, I'm working. This guy says, "Hey, sir, come over here and sit down. Look at the TV." And I go and sit right beside him on this office bench, and we're looking at his little small TV. Uh, Boom, it's right there. Everything happening. First plane, and then together we sat there and watched the second plane. And in all, I think about that just because of the dynamic of the fact that this was a Middle Eastern gentleman that I'm sitting next to, and then everything got pointed to some Middle Easterns, you know, after that. And you know, but it you know, that's where I was when it happened, and then it was a matter of, you know, getting on the phone and calling family and all that type of stuff. Um, you know, after the fact, but you know, who else? Leonard, you remember where you were at during that time?
Yeah, I was working nights, and I got off of work, and I was getting ready to lay down and go to bed, and that's when I looked up, from my bed, and I was looking at the news and saw all of this stuff happening, and next thing you know, you see the planes crashing, and like I said, I just was, had to take a moment there to shed some tears because I had, it was another tragedy that I witnessed in my life. I had the unfortunate fortune, I'm gonna call it the unfortunate fortune of being involved in the Hurricane Andrew relief. So I've seen what, you know, devastation can happen just with natural causes. And so this is one an unnatural cause where you had, thousands of people, I just in my soul, I just felt, people crying out, right? In a spiritual type situation. So, like I said, it was a familiar feeling of dread when I saw that happening. So, I think I went out and gathered myself and went out and was talking to people, different people. But yeah, that's the most memorable thing I take away from that. Is the same reaction when I saw Hurricane Katrina. You know, it's when you experience, tragedy, it kind of stays with you. And anything that happens in tragic situations, you still get to, unfortunately, feel those same emotions, those same feelings, especially when it's human life lost, in those types of situations. So that's what I was at.
I was just calculating. I was just 5 years into my marriage. Okay, we got married in 1996, and so I was in in E-Town in a courtroom, trying to handle my business with my ex-wife and dealing with her. She gotten crazy because I got remarried and everything. So I'm trying to deal with my visitations and everything. So I was pretty serious about trying to get in there and try to get that thing under handle. And I just got called up to the judge at I'm sitting there in front of the judge and everything, and I just sat down and everything. The judge getting ready to talk about my case, and everything stopped. And someone came out to her, whispered in her ear, and she looked and said, "Court is on hold," and everything. She went into the back. I didn't know what's going on and everything, and then they came back and said court was over. It was out and done. And then I went to the break area, and that's when I got to see the second plane hit into the tower, and I was like, "What the hell going on?" And it was a life-changing situation for me because I had never seen something like that on our things, and that's one of the reasons I got involved with the security. I just wanted to do something, be involved in everything. Since I wasn't active duty, I was reserves, and so yeah, it left always a memorable point in my life.
And I think everybody, had that feeling. And I think there's a lot of people that didn't know how to feel as well.
Right.
Tiandra posted here. She says, "It was my freshman year at U of L. I was on my way back to my dorm from math class. My mom called me and told me to turn on my TV. I just remember not knowing how to feel." And I think that, there's a sect of people, and I would say that it's probably more so of the melanated community, that things like this go on. They don't know exactly how to feel, simply because there is, if you look at things through the years, there's probably more of a disdain for America than there is more of a patriot, likeness or patriotism for America. And it should be understood by the masses. It should be, people should be sympathetic to that, because again, America's done some wild things to people.
Horrific,
horrific. Yeah. Absolutely.
When
if you got a bully that smacks you in your face every day, and then somebody kills the bully, you got to reach down into like some sort of humanity type of vault to find compassion. It ain't gonna be the I'm angry at the bully vault that you're gonna reach in to look for compassion, because that MF got on your nerves. It's gonna be the humanity vault that you're gonna have to reach in and find some compassion. And I definitely understand that, talking about how war would be needed in order to get America on the same team, and all type of stuff like that. And so it just, these are the reasons why things are questioned. But then there's those people that just don't want to believe. They want to believe into their government.
And let's not forget how the conspiracy about how the building came down. How could it come down in the manner that it came down if they were hit at the top? Okay. And then it was all about the fuel. They said the fuel that came down, and it was. I mean, I will admit, it did seem a little suspicious. Okay, when you put your time and effort into listening to it, everything, how those buildings came down. I mean, because they just failed. Both of them failed. Woo. I mean, like it was an effort. And could the plane, just the two planes in itself, take those buildings down, that it make them fall down in the manner that it fell down? I don't know. It just, and even to this day, I'm still like, I don't know. Okay, it does, it does seems a little suspicious. Will you agree?
Exactly.
Just briefly talks about Flight 93. Okay, the heroicness of the citizens. And I went and read. There were multiple people from multiple states, multiple careers. Age and everything that they banded together. By the time that they realized that they were in the next plane that was going to be used, weaponized to cause some harm, I cannot, in good, talking about this, let us exit out without giving some homage to what it is to being an American. Okay, and what it took for them to have the courage to seize and take over that plane to prevent it from being weaponized and used in a manner. And I'm kind of glad. I'm kind of, I'm at the exit too. But I just, I couldn't leave without making because again, my humanity. Okay. But that took some courage. I wonder, ask myself, if I was on that plane, what would I have done? Okay, you follow what I'm saying? What would have been my
No,
reaction,
absolutely.
knowing that I wasn't gonna live? Okay, but I'm gonna play a role in this. Okay, to make sure that hey, we gonna stop you here. I like to think that I would have had the heroicness in myself to be engaged and saying, nah, bro, I'm sorry, that I'm gonna have to take you
Exactly.
out. Okay, it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I mean it kind of pissed me off because I'm in my head, I'm just thinking a box knife, really?
A
And
box knife? Yeah,
okay. So what? They take they take a few hostages, but we got, what, however many people, 100 people on this plane. Oh no, y'all can
right.
slice their throats. I'm coming at you. You know,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
you
So the
go ahead,
first two, you
slice
can't
their
blame
throats.
the
I'm
first.
coming at you.
You think about it, you can't blame the first two planes because they didn't know. I mean, they were just
Yeah,
like, think about it. They didn't know
yeah,
what was going
yeah,
on. Yeah,
yeah,
first two planes, they was kind of.
yeah.
We talking about the third and fourth plane. The third,
Exactly.
they like, wait a minute. Yeah. Hold up, what's going on? You know how that had to. How that had to emotionally. We don't talk about, but trauma comes pretty quick. Okay, the stress of that immediately knowing and
Hmm.
realizing that something had occurred 2 times prior, and you may be on the third or fourth plane that may be also being
Yep.
used. Come on,
Because
man.
they
That's
let the pilots know.
this is where I like what Dr. North says, that we a culture of people that don't think astutely enough. Culturally, we laugh and giggle and we just that, but the word astute, what he mean about that is that sometimes we don't know how to be astute. Okay, we don't know how to figure and look at things so critically that it makes you thinks differently. That I got to meet her is a blessing, and to find peace. Okay, and I just relate that to those people there in that flight, that they found peace in what they had to do for the humanity to live on. Okay, for the you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah,
They
I
knew
mean,
that
because
they knew that they had.
imagine if that plane did make it to uh,
Yes,
DC.
yeah.
You know, I mean, if it made it to its
Oh, it would have
target
been more devastating.
in
Yes,
DC, yeah, absolutely.
yeah. And so, leaving this, what is right for us, and I'm just going to tie this in what, as much as many of our demographics of people, don't feel good about America and understand what America done to us culturally, there's a reason why we are here. There's a reason why we exist today. And I truly believe it is about us not losing our humanity and knowing where it comes from. It doesn't come from America. It doesn't come from white people, okay? Our humanity comes from our Creator. And so we have to daily and constantly seek to grab our humanity, okay? And even when people do you wrong, okay, you have it within your power. The very same thing that God was saying to Cain when he knowingly knew that he was about to kill his brother. He asked him, he said to him, You don't have to do what's creeping in your heart. You don't have to. But he gave him the free will to do as he chose to. Okay. And then when he asked him after he had done it, where is your brother? And as flip as we are, we flip like this culturally. You know, am I my brother's keeper? You know that's a flip answer, right? You know that was a flip, right?
Yeah.
Am I my brother's keeper? We sometimes got to stop being so flip and stop being so, so crazy in our behavior and our thinking, and understand that we have a responsibility with the life that we have, okay, to do right by others, even when they have done us wrong, okay? When they've done us wrong, we got to be willing to see the humanity in ourselves and the humanity in others. That's my truth, man.
Absolutely.
That's where I'm at.
And whatever you put into your mindset is whatever will come out. We know that there's injustice, and I'm gonna play this video to talk about those injustices, but I want you to keep in mind that it's in you create your own reality. So if you want to dwell in the ideology of racism, where focus goes, energy flows, you will always see racism everywhere you go on your timeline. You'll be getting stopped by the police. You'll feel like the police is racially profiling you. You'll be aggressive. You know, all of these things will come at you when you focus on it. And that's what you are always looking for, you know. Or you can switch your mindset, focus on being better at every aspect of your life. And at that point, you will get all of that you're focusing on. So you focus on being better at your craft, at your job, focus on learning more about it, focus on learning more about that part-time gig that you're thinking about doing, that business that you're thinking about starting. Focus more on that and you'll get more of that. And you know, guess what? Racism will dissipate from your spectrum.